Michelle, thank you so much. We have made it on the internet.
It's lovely to be here, and thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this. So.
Ditto, me as well. And I've just finished your book, so which I loved. And I'm kind of starting it again because as I was referencing it in my planning, I thought, oh my God, I missed that bit. You know how when you've read a book once and then you read it again and you think, oh my God, there's so much more to this that I didn't get the first time, you know? And so I'm going to read it again because there are things in the book, especially the rituals of the caves, that I want to, as long as I have your permission, I want to share that with my students.
I'll be honoured, my goodness.
As and when the time arises, I'm already thinking about my next workshop that I will be sharing one of the caves with them, one of the rituals with them. And I'll mention that, we'll get into that later. But
and I just say it's been 13 years since the book came out, so I can't actually remember. You'll have to jog my memory on the
I will. Well, I've got the book. I've got the book here, so we can remind ourselves.
Me with long hair,
yes,
without my Malin streak.
yes. 13 years. I know it's a long time, isn't it? And 13 years ago, I brought out my Oracle deck, and I think I still feel like it was only yesterday.
I know.
But it does go really quick, doesn't it?
Very much so.
So let's get into this. Now, you kind of call yourself a druid, priestess, a witch, a shaman, a healer. I didn't see author in any of that. Where's the author? Where is the author? What happened to her?
Don't know. That's a very interesting question. I think it comes from my dyslexia. So and also because I come from a family of storytellers and we talk. So when you put, especially with Blood Red Cave, that's writings over a period of so many years. I don't know. I don't feel like when I look at your books at the back of you and I see other people, you're an author. I sometimes, feel, am I? Or am I just sharing my knowledge? I don't know. What's the difference?
Exactly. Would have been my next question. You took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's exactly right. I mean, when you have been, I've got a few books out, but I do know what you mean. If I think back to when I published that first book, or when I was published, because I was published traditionally to begin with, that kind of feeling of an author was a little bit surreal. Because everybody else was an author, I was part of the books tribe, and they were all, most of them were established authors, had written 3 or 4 books or even more than that. I felt very much at the bottom rung of the ladder, and sometimes I still do feel like that, and I don't think it's a bad thing, because
the imposter syndrome, that's me. Total imposter syndrome with it.
I think when you're new to any craft, or not when you're new to any craft, even when you've been practicing the skills of that craft for many years, I don't think it hurts to have that beginner's mind. Do you?
No, not at all. I think it's absolutely necessary, because it keeps you humble, keeps you grounded. And anybody who says that they don't have anything to learn from a process is a bloody liar. So, and I've been 13 years writing the second book. I won't be rushed. And I'm still going through that same process. I tie myself up in knots. Do people really want to hear what I've got to say? Oh my God, why is what I've got to say any better, more important than what the next person is saying? So I am queen of procrastination as well. I have to.
Well, let me just tell you, you are not alone. I was having a chat with another author, Steve Atkinson, a Scottish guy, a lovely bloke, a few weeks ago, and we were both talking about the same thing, and how that imposter syndrome itis is part of the creative process. Let's face it. It is, isn't it? And if we let it, if we allow it to, it does stall and can sometimes stop us from continuing that process. We just have to continue with it, push through it, and finish the damn thing, whatever it is, whether it's a piece of art, whether it's a book, whether it's a craft project, whatever it is, you just have to finish it, don't you?
Absolutely. And I think one of the things for me in particular, because I know what I can be like, we live in a society that is on many levels, what's the words? I'm choosing my words so carefully here, can be slightly fragile in terms of how they perceive things, their, what's the words? What they get upset about.
Oh, the nanny state.
The triggers, and I don't come from that world.
No.
And so I don't write with that in mind. If you are offended by anything I have to say or I've written, good, tough. But I am also aware that that isn't necessarily how the world we have to function in actually is. So sometimes I talk myself out of things because I'm like trying to put it in a way that I think will be more acceptable to the powers that be and the community now. And then I have to stop, walk away and go, no, do you know what? No, because that isn't who I am. That's not what I'm trying to say. And that's not what this is. And so I tie myself up bloody knots when the truth is you just need to be your authentic self. You need to be true to you. Oaks have no interest in being holly trees. Oaks only want to be an oak tree, and I keep coming back to that. And I am not other people. I am me.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think that shines through this book beautifully.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
I really do think it is. And you often reinstate it. You know, you reaffirm that all the time, which I think is great, because when you're reading from a perspective of maybe somebody who's novice, who's just come to the path, you know, who's just being introduced to the whole concept of magic on this level, you know, then it's not a bad thing, because as you and I know, we're both teachers, we're both facilitators of, and we've held space for many years, you know, sacred space for people. And when you are in that kind of teaching role, which often it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Repetition is part of the process, isn't it? To help people to learn, to understand, to remember, you know, what you're saying. Yes. To send that point home all the time consistently is not a bad thing. So let's get to the book. Let's get right into the book. Let's open the pages up. And my first question is to you is, in this beautiful book, why caves? Why caves? Because I know it's the blood red caves, and, you know, where many an ancient and indigenous practice were performed, you know, but there, you could also say that about any other sacred space, can't you? Or sacred place. So why caves?
There are several answers to this.
Okay. How long have we got?
The first answer is because my love of history and my absolute emphatic love of working with women, girls and young women, families, and fighting for women's rights, fighting for who we are, especially through the 80s and the 90s. I think people forget where we came from. And part of that learning process was the information that came out about the fact that many of the caves that are now very famous in France, Spain, Portugal, with all the cave paintings and the handprints and all of that stuff, they are now pretty much conclusively saying, which is what we all said, was that was women. that those places were where the women's craft was. It was the womb of the mother into the cave, into the earth. I was fascinated by that from quite a young age. So caves, depending on what levels they are, have different significances. And there's one of the caves, and I think it's La Croix, but I could be wrong. It starts off in a opening, and then as you move back, it goes off into different caves, and the deeper you go into the caves, the different paintings there are, the different significances, the handprints, etc., etc. And that, for me, as somebody who loves psychology and sociology and all of that sort of stuff, is resonant with who we are. Modern psychology will say that we departmentalize our lives and we put things in boxes. I prefer caves because
I love that. I love that.
It's for me, it's a more natural state of being. So and our ancestors understood the significance and the need for protection in those places, because they lived, they worshipped, they did all sorts of things there. So that's one answer. The other answer, bring it forward, is when I was helping with the initial setups with the Anglesey Druid Order, which I know will upset some people, but it's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. And Chris Hughes and I were up there, and obviously the Menai Straits, and that's where the Romans came, and the last stand of the Druids and the tribes that had gathered on Anglesey, and etc., etc. And the reports from the Romans at the time were that they were facing the women priestesses, the women of the villages and of the tribes, and they were fearful of them. They were like the Furies. And in that wonderful place, which I cannot say even to this day, Thlang Dilio, Thlang,
oh my god,
doobly, sorry, Welsh people, I'm so sorry for murdering that. Which actually has which I do say in the book, what it represents, the whirlpool by the white hazel, by the red pool. So if you go down into that place, and you used to be able to walk, well, there's a church there now, but you used to go through that down onto the Menai Straits, and there are the caves, and they're red because of iron. So, and it was stated anecdotally, I found it very hard to prove it factually, but that is where the women, the children, and everybody went to before they were all massacred. And so it was a place of worship for women. And ironically, above on the mainland in that village is where one of the first women's WIs was set up. So it's always, yeah, so it's always been a place of women's craft, women's magic. So the Blood Red Caves was, for me, another, I suppose, I don't know what the right words are, but what we're saying is, you thought you slaughtered us, you thought the women, because we went very patriarchal with the Romans, and afterwards you thought you'd got rid of everybody, you thought you had destroyed us, murdered us, massacred us. Well, you didn't. We're still here.
Yeah.
And the Blood Red Caves still exist, but they're under the waters now. You can't get to them.
But also, didn't you have a dream when you were a child?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yes. Yes. The recurring dream from when I was 5. Yeah.
Do you still have that dream? Or
no.
Did it stop?
It stopped the minute the book, well, the minute I went to the Menai Straits with Chris.
Yeah.
And the minute I wrote the dream down, and as part of the book, and I did the research, the dream stopped. But I can still see it. If you've mentioned it, and I can still see it playing like a film.
And you were actually one of those young women, weren't you, in the cave?
Yeah.
Wow. So how can it not be true? How can it not, even if there's not, as you say, the historical evidence that we can say that definitely happened?
Well, exactly. I mean, years later, I think I wrote it in the book. I'm sure I did. I met with a chap who sadly is gone now, called Stefan Senyek, Stefan Allen. He was a Druid. And we were at a llamas camp, one of the big llamas camps that was on back in the day. God, this is over 20 years ago now. And we were sat chatting, la 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 la, and it was, you know what it's like. We were all sat around the fire, and it was, oh, what dream do you have? Recurring dreams do you have? And so I got to me, and I relayed that dream to everybody. And he fell off the log next to me, and he turned around and he went, no, that's not your dream, that's my dream. And I said, no, 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 no. I've had that dream since I was a child. That is my dream. Get your own. And he went, no, Michelle. He said, that is my dream. He said, but the bloke that you're saying that was outside, the only bloke with the sword at the front of the cave, he said, that was me.
My God.
He said, I'm the one at the front. And I just went, and everybody just tumbleweed. It was just quiet. And yeah.
Wow.
So that was quite astonishing.
Yes, definitely.
Quite astonishing.
And also that kind of synchronicity with two people, you have to, I mean, that's magical, isn't it? That is magic in action.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, okay, it's a given. The caves were, you know, the Anglesey was real.
Oh no, it was real. There's definitely, it was real, and the red caves are definitely real. And there's enough anecdotal to say that the women went down there and they were used ritually. What we can't prove is that's where the Romans massacred loads of people after the battles on the shores. Can't, because we know they went up into the groves, we know they went all over the islands, but we can't prove that they took everybody and massacred them in the caves.
Right. Okay.
Can't prove any of that.
Yeah. So, okay, that's interesting. That's really fascinating, isn't it? I mean, honestly, I've got a thing about caves as well. In fact, I use caves in a lot of my path workings, you know, that I've written. It just feels so the right place to be in. Like, as you say, back to the womb or the tomb, you know.
The womb and the tomb, exactly, one and the same.
Yeah, exactly. Where all that wisdom resides, you know. And so another thing that I wanted to ask you, which you mention quite often in the book as well, but you don't really explain anything else other than your cabin in Swithland Woods.
Swithland Woods.
Yeah. I mean, tell me about that, because you mention it quite a few times that you know, this is what you've experienced in the cabin in the woods. And I'm thinking, wow, she lives in a cabin in the woods, or she must live in a cabin in the woods. Tell me about that.
Well, the cabins in Swithland Woods came into being at the end of the 1800s, beginning of the 1900s. And they were built initially as places for people to go who were recovering from various illnesses. You know, so if you had TB or anything like that. And when the First World War came, they were used as part of a recuperating, you know, for soldiers to recuperate if they had PTSD and all sorts of things like that. So that's where their origins, but where they took off was that they became a place that people in the Leicestershire, Loughborough, Charnwood villages and further afield couldn't necessarily afford in those days, in the 1900s or whenever, to go off to the beach or wherever people went on holiday. So they used to book cabins in the woods because there would be mass shutdowns of factories all at the same time. And so the huts were built. There were more huts built so that people could come away and have holidays there in the middle of these woods. And these woods are one of the last remaining ancient woodlands in the UK. It's where one of the first fossils in Britain or something was found. I can't remember it, or the oldest fossil. And we know there was open cast and slate mining going right back to the Bronze and Iron Ages. So it's a very, Black Annis lived up the road. You know, she had her cave in Woodhouse Eaves, bless her. So there's like masses of history, Druid orders. First Druid female lodge was in one of the villages that I lived in, not far away. So there's all this stuff that went on. And so my cabin was called Holly Cottage, and it was the only one that had a dry stone walling around it. Of course it did. Of course it did. And and it had a lovely crack willow thing in the crack willow in the middle of the garden. And lots of frogs and toads that lived round the back, which was most discerting if you went round the back for a quick wee in the night. Got caught out a couple of times, bless them. So I bought that, and it had no running water, no electricity, and no toilet facilities. So there were loos and showers, which were about 2 fields away, right down towards the other side entrance into the woods. But I was up the top end near the. So yeah, it was an amazing place, stunning place.
So you actually lived there? You lived in?
I did. Yeah, I lived there.
How long for?
A couple of years.
Really?
I lived. I bought it I actually bought it on May the 1st, Bell 10, 2003, and we sold it. Gosh, 2011, 12, something like that. So I lived there after my marriage broke down. My first marriage broke down, and I lived there for a couple of years, and my kids came with me for the last bit, which they were not happy about. It's not conducive with teenagers. So yes, and then when we bought the house, when I was with Jamie by then, and we used to go back stay every weekend and run our workshops and retreats out there.
Amazing. Oh my God, it sounds like a dream.
And of course Charnwood Grove was very big there, so we used to do all the big gatherings, you know. And there was an amazing community, magical people.
I bet. I bet.
Magical people.
Wow. And to think that this book was kind of born, a lot of your experiences, your journeyings were experienced in your cabin, weren't they?
Oh gosh, yeah. I specifically, yes, I used to journey a lot at the cabin because you could, and there's very clear ancient pathways that you could follow. So it was very easy. You know, I'd come in journeying out the door, through the garden, out into the field, turn left, down over and straight through into the woods, and you're straight into the middle of the woods.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, what a great start, what a great foundation to your writing, to be in that kind of magical place. You know. Okay, I'm glad you answered my question, because I was interested I thought, well, she's mentioning this a lot, but there's nothing more about it. Well, I want to know more about this place. So now I know. So
I'll send you a photograph.
Oh God, I'd love to see that. I'll
send you some photographs of how we had it inside the altar and the outside of it.
How big was it?
Oh, blimey, good question. I would say it was the size of a static caravan,
mobile home.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not. I had a big double bedroom at the back and a small sort of little one just to there, and then a big front room and a little tiny kitchen.
Yeah, amazing. It sounds like Little House on the Prairie.
It was very basic, but it was very cottagey, and it was incredibly witchy in there. I did indulge my witchy, you know, cauldrons and bloody brooms and loft. It was epic. You know, you didn't walk in there and think you were walking into Hyacinth Bouquet's front room. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. You indulged your witch.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And no doubt that helped in many ways and on many levels for that witch to develop and evolve as you have done over the years, hasn't it? It must have done.
I think so. I mean, what it allowed me to do, what was interesting,
because it was your environment, wasn't it?
Oh, the first month when it rained solid, but I had no television, I had no radio, I had no phone. I had the children at the time were staying between me and their grandparents, so I was on my own most of the time, and there was no distractions. It took me over 4 weeks to get out of that modern mindset, of that rat race mindset, and suddenly I was able to, I looked at things differently. I could hear things differently. I could think clearer. I wasn't procrastinating in my normal procrastination way, because there was nothing to actually get in the way. So I could write, I could journey. I wasn't interrupted by the phone or a knock at the door, although somebody did come to see if I was still alive at one point, because nobody'd seen me. But
you had no interference.
No interference.
But therefore you were a clear channel.
Completely clear. And what was epically brilliant was it was the first time in my life because even as a child I shared a bedroom. As an adult I shared a bedroom, or I shared my house, or suddenly there was nobody. And so you sit in the eye of the storm, you sit in the silence, you sit with the birds, you sit with the wildlife there, and it's quite humbling and it's quite profound, and it was a fabulous experience. I would recommend. It's fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very much to me like you were in that total rewilding state. You were rewilding, you were back to your roots. So it's no wonder that those roots became the caves, isn't it?
The caves were already there, because I already worked with caves, but not quite in the. I think you have to experience being stripped. There were a lot of things that happened. I was involved with the BRI inquiry for 8 years. I don't know if you know about that. Children who died of cardiac surgery in Bristol. So I was, because my daughter was one of the children. So I was involved with that for 8 years. And then there was my 20-year marriage went down the pan. And then there was all the tribunals work and all these things which had held my life together. So the craft was always there because I grew up with it. But you practice differently. But when everything that we think of as a normal construct of life in modern society
breaks down,
is removed in the space of about 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Then you sit there with yourself and you take a good long hard look, and you just are like, oh my God. And the cabin saved my life, because the cabin was the one thing that I would not allow my ex-husband to have.
Oh, well done.
So that was non-negotiable, and it was, and that meant I had somewhere to live.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like what you've just described in your life. Sounds like in the tarot, the tower moment. You know,
without a doubt,
everything breaks down, and you think, my God, everything comes crashing around you on all kinds of levels, and you are stripped naked, as it were.
Yeah, totally. And I would put in there the hangman, because it was about how much of certain things am I prepared to keep sacrificing? How much energy am I still going to put into this? You know, I am strangling myself here.
Yeah, the hangman. And also an aspect of the hangman is being able to see from all angles, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Getting a totally different perspective when you've got that distance between what's happened and where you are to kind of witness that. Amazing.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing. What an amazing part of your journey. Okay, well, let's deep dive now into the caves themselves. Because I'm just going to read the contents, because I mean, each cave is a chapter, and I just think, so we've got Blessing of the Blood Red Cave, we've got Into the Blood, we've got the Cave of the Dancing Maiden, the Cave of Illusion, the Cave of Veils, the Cave of Dueling Serpents, the Cave of the Eternal Warriors, the Cave of the Dreaming Goddess, I love that one, the Cave of the Crane Bag. I could see kind of where you were going, through the caves, through the different parts of the whole sort of trinity, the Cave of the Primal Call, the Cave of Healing Pools, the Cave of Cauldrons, the Cave of the Silver Spinner, and of course the last cave, which you don't give a chapter to, which I was kind of thinking, why didn't she give a chapter to, the Cave of Glowing Embers? But I'm hoping, and we'll get onto this later on, that's the next book. Or it comes in the next book. You're smiling, so I know that I've hit a chord there. So out of all those, Michelle, have you got a favourite cave? I know it sounds really childish, doesn't it? You got a favourite cave?
Blind.
What was the most significant to you? Maybe it wasn't your favourite one, but what was the most memorable and significant of those caves?
Warrior.
Do you remember? Was it? Get in there, the Morrigan. Yeah, okay. Why was that? Why do you think? Well, I suppose that's a bit of a silly question given the information you've just shared.
Yeah, because and it's, again, I think I said, if I remember rightly, in the chapter, it's a very fine line when you have certain life experiences, in my case, ill health, various different things over a period of about 10, 12, whatever years it was boom, 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 boom. And so you are fighting for your life, you're fighting for a marriage, you're fighting for your children in particular, you're fighting for your job, you're fighting for, and that's brilliant. But what that does is that then sets you on this path where you are the constant warrior. And it's that fine line of knowing, when do you put your sword down? When do you
stop battling?
And and that doesn't mean that you don't step up to the plate again if needed, but it's about that balance in your life. Because if you're finding that all you're doing is fighting fires, is fighting battles, fighting your battles, fighting other people's battles, that, so you have to. So for me, that's a very important, each of the chapters are part of who we are. It's part of human nature, part of our personalities. It's part of our who we as humans are in terms of our day-to-day survival. And at different times in our life, different aspects of us will step to the fore. The danger is that we become addicted or unnecessarily reliant on certain aspects, and that's down to coping strategies or inappropriate coping strategies.
And attachment, is that what you're talking about? Getting attached to that kind of identity? Because it can happen, can't it? It can happen. Like, as you say, as you were talking there about the warrior, I'm thinking, oh my God, I mean, I wonder if I got attached or am attached in some ways to being that kind of warrior woman, because I went through that in the perimenopause, that roller coaster of emotions that some women can sort of get away with, can't they? The menopause, but I didn't. I had a crushing time. It was a nightmare, but that's another story. But that was when I called on the Morrigan, when I just embraced her energy, because I needed it. I needed that warrior energy to battle what I was going through at the time. And that conflict it does settle down, doesn't it? It does plateau eventually. We do find that kind of space to be more at peace with ourselves, or at least as facilitators of space, like we were saying, you and I are, Michelle, we can hold that space for other women to do that. So there is that to it. But I don't think I've become attached to the warrior, but I wouldn't mind if all of the archetypes, I think that would be the one that I choose to be attached to.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's the one that stands out. I mean, the veil is also really important because that's about vision, sight. It's about what we see, what we perceive, how we perceive others, how we think we are perceived in return. It's about our craft. It's about and how that develops.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a longer story behind some of the aspects of the chapter names and what they represent. I would be poking a lot of bears if I went into it at this moment in time.
Okay, let me bring up one that was quite significant for me, and back to what I was saying at the beginning about using and sharing one of your rituals with my lovely students, was the veil, the cave of illusion, and the ritual was the ritual of self-truth.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And how amazing that is, because we spoke about this right at the beginning with you and all your labels. Like, we've all got labels, we've all got roles that we play in life, labels that we wear, that we pin to our chests,
the hats,
pride. Oh my God, all those bloody hats. Tell me about it. But so talk me through that ritual, how you experienced it, how because I know that
you're going to have to remind me because I can't remember the specifics. Sorry, love.
Okay. Right, so the ritual is you write down on separate pieces of paper 7 roles that you play, or things that you identify with, labels that you identify with in life. And then once you've written them down, the 7 most important things, you number them according to a sliding scale of importance, with 1 being the most important. And then you light a fire or a candle, and then you take each piece of paper and you burn it starting with the lesser important ones first.
Yes.
So you end up with the last one, with the one that you identify so strongly with. And you were talking about how, when you've done it with your ladies, how they all did it individually, they all did it separately, but that they all found, or most of them found, it really difficult to actually burn them, to actually burn those, part of themselves.
I have done, sorry, I was asked because it's been a long time since I've done this. I used to use that actually with my teenage mums.
Oh.
That's how I developed it initially. And there are varying different ways of using it. And it's a very, very, very good tool for people to how they value themselves.
Yeah.
And what they're prepared to let go of, and what they think is important and what they don't think is important, which is always, and what they don't think of as important is actually usually the most important things. Interestingly, adapting it magically has exactly the same effect as it had on my teenage mums. There's even a variation where we use a mirror.
Yes, you spoke about that, where you got them all, you blindfolded them all.
Yes.
So that once they'd put their bits of paper in the cauldron and burnt them, until they were down to their last identity, they were blindfolded, taken to a place where they were then kneeling down on the ground, and you took the blindfolds off and there was a mirror underneath.
Absolutely. And all they were left with was themselves. And the amount of women that screamed when they looked in the mirror.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Because we have such sometimes going back to what you were saying as well about the menopause playing into all of this, because I was very young with my menopause because I had the cancer, so I had a forced menopause.
You had a hysterectomy, didn't you?
Yeah.
So
I was like 29, 30 with two
wow.
small children, and nobody, not even my mother, was going through it. There was no help, no advice, no nothing.
So
our body image, our dysmorphia, and body dysmorphia, mental dysmorphia, because everybody's like, oh, you're completely off the charts, you are, because I'm like, I hate you, and so doing these exercises about what I did it on myself, I did it on my friends, I did it with the teenage mums, I did it in my ancient goddess retreats, I did it as part of the women that I worked with in other magical circles, and there was always this same shock reaction when blindfolds came off and mirrors were involved, that they were actually left looking at that. What was left was them. All of the trimmings, all of the distractions, all of the stuff, the labels we give ourselves, or that other people usually have given us.
Yeah.
You mentioned I'm a witch, I'm a druid, I'm a heathen, I'm a pagan, I'm a this. That's just depending on who you're talking to. and there's a lot of names that we won't mention on that I know I'm called as well. Do you know what I mean? Some of them I was going to say bollocks. Some of them may be deserved. I don't care anymore. But do I?
Oh, deep down, that's worth another cave, isn't it, in itself?
Isn't it? But that's the illusion as well.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Because I'm there going, oh yeah, I'm all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Really?
I don't care. I'm my own woman. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
I've got to do a talk I stopped doing public talking for over 10 years because of certain things that happened, which I will talk to you about when I see you. Yeah. But I did my first talk again last October, and I'm doing another talk up this with you, and I'm doing another talk in October again, this coming. And am I doing this? Why am I setting myself up to be like completely annihilated? And that's my shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even after all the stuff we've talked about, even after all of I don't feel the need anymore to justify who I am or my craft. But the human frailties of fearing that I'm not what I think I am.
That's imposter syndrome again, isn't it?
Total.
Playing out. Total. That bitch imposter syndrome. She can go and do one, can't she? Bloody hell. But you know what, Michelle? I feel exactly the same way, but I think what takes over that, what stops me from going down that silly rabbit hole of imposter syndrome is like, hang on a minute, who are the people that are going to benefit from this? Because it's not only about you, it's about her, especially if you're going out into the world again, you're sharing your wisdom. I mean, look at this card that I picked for you and I today, all right, because I've got my little altar there. Look, there's my altar. Always have my altar on and my candle. I picked this card for us in this talk. Look at it.
Nice.
Yeah. Now,
good one.
Here's the how do you pronounce that? Banfasa. And women's wisdom. I mean, this is, and does it or does it not need to be passed down? Along?
God, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's our legacy, isn't it?
It has to be passed down. And what I always tell the people I'm working with is it has to be accessible, relevant, and it has to be real, authentic. And so I can teach all about the origins of why this is this and this is that, and some things I believe emphatically are universal truths. So people can dress it up as whatever they want these days, don't make it so. the fact of the matter is some things are what they are. How we use that, how we adapt it, it has to be able to be relevant in the 21st century. We do not live 3,000 years ago. We do not live 4,000 years ago. And any self-respecting practitioner, I was raised that the magic is the knowledge and the craft is the application of the knowledge. That was what my grandparents taught me, and also that we are the guardians of the knowledge to ensure the survival of the people. And that doesn't mean that we're above the people or we're not part of the people. It just means Thorny, one of my teachers, which I mentioned, she always used to say, there will come a time, Michelle, maybe not in our lifetimes or in your lifetime or whenever. She said, but the knowledge that we have, be it the herbalism, be it the practical craft, community, tribe, ritual, they will need it. People will need it, because it's about cohesion and it's about that sense of belonging. It's that anchoring, and it's about survival and sustainability. And that is why it's important. And the next generation needs our knowledge so that they can add their knowledge, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally resonate with that, because that's kind of why, here's a label for you, why I tend to call my non-fiction books and the teaching that I am privileged to share with others modern witchcraft, because it's the adaptation, like as you say, of the old ways. Of course, that's where we
Doreen Valiente did it brilliantly.
Yeah.
She did exactly the same. So
yeah, and I mean it's no good, you know, thinking that you can do what they did, you know, all those years ago, hundreds, thousands of years ago, when we are living in the modern world, you know, and there has to be that adaptation, that of balance. Those yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a great believer in ancestral memory, ancestral DNA running through our, you know, our veins, and some things we're drawn to more than others, and I think that contributes to it. I have no issue with the ancient myths and legends and the craft and how it's done, because I think it's like medicine. You know, doctors go to school, they do their medical degrees, then they go to the hospital, then they do their internship, and then they decide whether they're going to specialize or not, blah de blah de blah. But what they're taught is what everybody did right from day dot, so that they can learn their craft, then they can add their bit so that the next lot coming up has that same advantage. And we must be the same, I think, to and I'm certainly not somebody in the camp that believes that there is no unbroken line. I believe our people have always practiced craft, right? There's no, you know, a dear friend of mine, Jackie Woods, is an archaeologist, and she is part of Time Team and was involved with Urtsy, and she specializes in prehistoric clothing and food. And she's got a place down in Truro. And she realized that the garden had grown halfway up her windows at the back. She had this great big place, so she decided to start clearing it. And as an archaeologist, there are certain things that come up as soon as you start to do that. And what she noticed was all these pits. So she started excavating them. They're now known as the witch pits. And inside there they dated right back, I think, to the Middle Ages. And to date, I think the youngest one was the late 70s. But inside them were swan wings and offerings. So they're ritual pits all across her land. Loads of them. And the next thing she found was the, what did she call it? I'm going to call it a solstice pool, but she might tell me I'm wrong on that. But she started excavating, and then she found this pool which only fills with water on the solstice, the winter solstice. And there's all that. So her whole garden, I mean, really, I mean, was I jealous? Yes. what a cow. I mean, fancy having all that in your back garden. I mean, good God's woman. She's got a total ritual temple complex which dates thousands of bloody years, and these witches pits which are just phenomenal. So if people want to know about her, her name's Jackie Woods. Every year people go down to her land to help excavate a bit more, and she's always looking for people. We've had her at the Spirit of Awen before now, coming to do talks and things.
Oh, crumbs. Yeah, I've got a good friend and good author friend who lives in Cornwall. I shall definitely tell her to listen to this and knock on her door.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and she'll give her, I mean, I haven't spoken to Jackie sadly for a couple of years now. Well, COVID knocked a lot of things on the head, but yeah, it's a couple of years since I've actually had a chat with her. But yeah, very interesting lady.
Yes. Oh, well, you know, I think we could go on for hours talking about this because it is our life, isn't it? This is our life. This is magic in action. Thank you very much, folks.
Yes.
No, but I'm glad you brought in your understanding and your perception of magic, because that was going to be one of my questions. You know, what does magic mean to you? Well, it's a bit of a silly question, isn't it? But how do you define it, I think, was what I wanted to ask you. And really, yeah, I mean, that comes clear through loud and clear in the book. It's knowledge. It's about knowledge, and like as you say, it's the application. The craft is the application of that knowledge,
and it's about connection, and it's about sight, seeing, understanding, being part of. I do not worship nature. I am part of nature.
Yeah.
And there is a big difference. If you worship something, you're saying you're apart from it. You're something other than. And a lot of modern paganism, to me, I don't understand, because you can't change an oak tree into a holly tree. You can't be something other than you are. Nature is nature. I'm not any different from a deer that's running through. My habits may be different, what my needs are in terms of feeding, warmth, survival, whatever, it's the same. We're animals.
Yes.
And we're being forced, going back to the menopausal thing, I think one of the problems I've witnessed with women is, back in the day, it wasn't an issue because most women in communities were close families, close-knit streets and communities. So they all pitched in, helped one another. The grannies were close at hand. People understood that it may not have given it a name, but it'd be like, sit down, Betty, I'll scrub your front step for you. I'll take the kids to school for you. Women surrounded women. Now we're being forced to live far apart from each other. We come together for a camp. We come together for a workshop. We come together for a retreat. And then we have to separate again. And that gives a false sense of community.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And isn't that just such a wonderful segue, as they say, into the Spirit of Awen?
Yes.
Make it up. You couldn't make it up.
Could you?
No.
We're that good. We're that good.
We are really that good. So come on, tell us how that all began. And
I knew you were going to tell me that. I'm going to poke some more bears now.
What it is, and yeah, because I'm excited to learn this as well, because I mean, apart from being introduced to you, and we've had one conversation on the phone, that was it, I think, and a few sort of backwards and forwards messaging, that's all. But I have to say, Michelle, let's face it, when we first had that conversation on the phone, it was like we were going back in time. I feel like I've always known you, you know. It's weird, isn't it? But it's great at the same time. But I don't know a lot about the Spirit of Awen. So please, and for anyone else that's listening that also doesn't know, pretend you're talking to somebody who really doesn't know.
Okay, so the Spirit of Awen came into being in 2012, and the first camp was held in 2013, I believe. And we decided that we wanted to hold a camp that embodied tribe, wasn't based on modern, what's the word I'm looking for very carefully again? Commercialism.
Oh, aesthetics.
Thank you. I do like a drop of aesthetics, but it can't be plastic. But give me a drop of ivy and I'm all right.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. Oh, God, this is going to sound stupid. When I did my degree, part of my degree, I did health and social care and sociology and psychology and stuff. One of the things that stuck with me massively was what the viability was for villages and tribes back in the day. And the number was 250, 300 at a push. So if you remember, particularly more so probably when we were younger, most villages weren't above 250, 300 people. They were tiny little communities. And that's because that is where you have what we call the magic sustainability. And that means people, even if they don't know your name, they'll know your face. It means that if there's a disaster, people are more likely to pitch in and support. It means if you were hunters, that the surrounding areas would have enough food that you were not going to be annihilating your environment and thus causing starvation for everybody and destroying the ecosystem. It meant if you were farming, you were sustainable in your farming, and that there were enough people to come and drive the cows through Bell's fires at Beltane, you know, etc., etc. So there are all these practicalities, and I wanted to incorporate that into Awen because I believe that people, even if it was only for 2 weeks a year, needed to know what it was like to be in a community where you actually recognised everybody, knew everybody, and everybody was there and would sit round with you. So that was point number one. Point number two is I'm a ritualist. And I think ritual, we as creatures are by definition naturally ritualistic. Be it how we fall out of bed, how we take our coffee, how we do our morning routines. We have our ways, our patterns of being. And craft for me is the same. And I am not there. My problem with other camps was I was being told who my gods had to be, what they looked like, how I was supposed to worship them, don't do this, do that. And none of that made any sense with my upbringing at all. I also do not believe that ritual should be a spectator sport. And so many of the organizations, I'm the high priestess with the mostess, I'm HP, you're HP source, whatever. And only I have the power to be part of this ritual. And I think that's a load of bollocks.
Yes.
And my role and the people that take part are
it's hierarchy, isn't it?
I believe in hierarchy of knowledge. I've given birth to 3 children, but I'm pretty and I have taken part in delivering a baby. But if there is a midwife present, then you step back and let the midwife take over, because that's her magic, that's her craft.
Yeah.
So Awen is about bringing people together. It's about trying to hold a less synthetic feel. So I don't have trade stalls unless you are a facilitator and it's your own work. So do bring your books.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because the whole point is we have blacksmiths, we have coppersmiths, we have, you know, we don't want stuff brought in from Timu. Although I have worshipped at the temple of Timu, I have to be honest, but we won't talk about that. We do have a shallow side occasionally.
It's allowed, Michelle.
It's allowed. But yes, so Awen came out of that need, and it came out of a need. We wanted to do big ritual. The pageantry of ritual was being lost because everybody was going, oh no, we don't do that, you know. And I'm like, no, if you've got people coming with all different abilities and from different pathways, and from some from none at all, and they're not used to working in circle, they're not used to working in big groups. You've got 200 plus people in that area. You have to hold a lot of energy and people need to know that we are there to create the bridges, open the doors, and create a space that they have an experience and they are able to walk through, up and over, and they hopefully come out the other side with a, oh my gosh, because they've had connection and they've had experience. And so that's was another big part of it. And yeah, so that's how it all came about, really. I used to help organize and run Druid camp, which was a big camp back in the day. And yeah, we decided that we wanted to do our own.
Well, I am certainly looking forward to attending your Spirit of Awen this year. And yeah, so is Ian, so are the rest of the band. We can't wait.
Well, and if anybody listening, it's even if you're on your own, we'll look after you. If you've got children, brilliant. We're family friendly, love it. We've got kids, little ones, babies, olders, teenagers. Workshops, come and learn blacksmithing, forge a fire sword, come and do your axes and your blades, do a bit of archery, you know, do spinning. There's so many different crafts we do. There's all the talks. Ron Hudson will be there. We've got Arthur Pendragon coming, hilarious.
Oh, lovely. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh,
he's the right character, isn't he?
Yeah. 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 It'll be brilliant.
I bet.
So yeah, so there's loads of things, and there's music, bands, yourselves are coming, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's something for everybody. And I think what I want to say to people, sounds like I'm begging, buy tickets, people. Camps like ours, because we're so small and we're not a festival, we run the risk of dying every year because there's so much competition and there's so many pop-up camps and things now, but it's hard to sustain, and we do it on a big scale. So, but it's tribe, it's community. So I really hope some of you will come. You'll be most welcome, and I know you'll have a blast. So yeah, I can't wait to meet you in person. That'd be hilarious.
My God, I'm really looking forward to that. We're not going to stop.
Oh,
we're not going to stop. What, you know, waffling, are we?
Gas bagging, as my granny would say.
Witchy wittering. Yeah. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Well, I will continue to plug it.
Thank you.
No doubt about that. Yeah. So whereabouts can people find you online, Michelle, to buy these tickets? Whereabouts can they get them from?
If you go on to spiritofawen.co.uk, so that's our website. We're on TikTok.
I know.
Get me. And I'm very proud. I've just learned how to make a QR code. Thank you.
Oh, well done.
So I've got a QR code on our latest. I put a TikTok up yesterday, which gives you a bit of a flavour of camps that have been. And if you look very carefully, you will see why we have heron this year. So that'll be a little thing for you all to look. There is a clue in the little video as to why we have heron this year.
So do you have a different theme every year then?
I dream the rituals.
Do you? So what was it last year?
Last year was stag.
Oh,
and that was stag. And I handed that over to Jamie and the men because I felt we do need balance. We do need sacred masculine. We do need sacred feminine. And it was important because of world dynamics, let's put it that way, that young men need to know that they too make sacrifice and we honor them. That sacred masculine is as important as sacred feminine. We wouldn't be here without it. They need honoring. And so yeah, they did their crow. I don't know if you know Crow, John Crow.
Yes, I know John. Well, John, I met him sort of, relatively speaking, in the last couple of years, because he's Susie's other half, isn't he? But love him, love John.
Right.
Yeah.
So John took a really big part because of his Morris experience, and he wrote a traditional stag dance, which is part of the hunters' ritual. And so we had that last year. It was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'll bet. Wow. Well, like I say, I will continue to plug it. And yeah, I'll repost your videos on TikTok because I've just learned how to do that. Are you anywhere else on social media?
We're on Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook.
Yep.
I think that's mostly it. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and the website.
Okay. And then of course I will also plug it on in my newsletter as well, because I'm on Substack.
Brilliant.
And this podcast episode will go out there. I'll put it on YouTube, so it will go out there as well. So slowly but surely we will scatter and be known.
Brilliant.
Be discoverable, be visible.
Fantastic.
Because
and the other thing people should know is, I think, about Awen is most people who come back. Yeah,
lovely. Well, I think we'll tie this up with a nice little bow now, shall we? Or bit of gardening string, I think, might be probably better suited for our, our stamp. But yeah, what a great talk we've had. I've really enjoyed myself, and I'm sure that anybody, our listeners and our viewers will enjoy it as well, because it has been fascinating, Michelle.
Thank you.
Really has been fascinating, and I'm absolutely looking forward to, and I'm sure other people will be compelled to come to the Spirit of Awen Camp.
I hope so. And come and eat cake. We've got loads.
Oh, well, there you are.
The farmer bakes it.
Oh wow, really?
He bakes all our cakes and cheesecakes.
Oh, amazing. It's a no-brainer. Come on, folks, it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
You are not only going to meet Michelle, you're going to meet me and Morrigan's Path as well, and see the band and many other wonderful people and magical things going on. How can you not want to? When is the date, Michelle? When's the date for the Awen Camp?
This year, it's Friday, the 31st of July to the Sunday, the 9th of August.
That's a long time, isn't it?
It's 9 days, but it's only 2 weekends. It's 1 week off if you've got to take it off. But we do weekend tickets, which are the Thursday to the Sunday. So that's available as well. We do payment installments, if that helps people.
Lovely.
So there's lots of different options, and it goes very quickly.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Well, it always does if you're enjoying yourself, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, a magical time will be had by all.
They will. Otherwise, I will want to know the reason why. And nothing is gained without sacrifice. That's all I'm going to say. And we haven't done a Wicker Man for a long time. Come and enjoy yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the Witch Wavelength.
Thank you so much for asking me. I've really enjoyed it. It's been brilliant.
It's been amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm totally looking forward to meeting you in person. I'm going to give you a big hug. It's going to be great.
No.
And you look after yourself until then. And in the meantime, sending you lots of love, and take care, Michelle.
Thank you so much. Thank you again.